My daughter threw herself off our 19th floor balcony the night her college acceptance letter arrived. It was her revenge against me. When her suicide note went viral, the internet tore me to shreds. I died, broken and alone, crushed by depression. But then I opened my eyes and I was back. Back to her sophomore year, right when she had to pick her classes. This time, when she asked what I wanted, I looked her dead in the eye and said, "It's your life. You decide. I'm staying out of it. I'm not making the same mistake twice." It was time for the sophomores to pick their AP tracks, STEM or humanities. And the parent group chat was blowing up. Girls just aren't wired like boys. They can't handle advanced physics or calc. One dad typed, "Exactly. Stick to liberal arts. Easier to get a stable admin job after college." A mom chimed in. The messages kept pinging. Then a mom I usually got along with tagged me. "Sarah, Chloe is going for humanities, right?" I stared at my screen. Silence filling the room. In my past life, I thought the exact same way. I didn't need Chloe to be a millionaire. I just wanted her to have a safe, stable job and a happy life. Plus, her grades in English and history were way better than her math scores. So I pushed her toward humanities, even though she hated every second of it. She crushed her essays and got into a top-tier university. I never expected that on the night her acceptance letter arrived, she would walk out onto the balcony of our 19th floor apartment and jump. She ended it all to spite me. Her friends uploaded her suicide note to Instagram and TikTok. It was a manifesto of hatred directed solely at me. She wrote that she loathed me for raising her in a single-parent home, loathed me for controlling her destiny. I was cancelled, doxxed, relentlessly cyberbullied, until I fell into a deep depression and died before I hit 40. Now I'm back and there is no way in hell I'm walking that path again. I'm giving her exactly what she wants. I tapped the text box and typed slowly. "Chloe can do whatever she likes. I respect her choice." I tossed my phone on the nightstand and pulled the covers up. The next evening, I was buried in paperwork my boss had dumped on me last minute. The front door slammed. Chloe was home. She didn't care that I was working. She stomped straight over to my desk. "Haley starved herself for 3 days. And her mom still forced her to pick humanities. What about you? How are you planning to force me this time?" Chloe tilted her chin up, looking down at me with pure arrogance. That expression. She looked exactly like her deadbeat father. I felt a moment of dizziness seeing him in her face. "I'm not getting involved," I said flatly. "You make the call." "Fake charity." She scoffed. "Huh? Don't think playing reverse psychology is going to work on me. I'm not caving in." She side-eyed me acting like she was a freedom fighter in a war zone. I shrugged, gave a tight smile, and didn't say a word. I just looked back down at my documents. Didn't matter what I said to her. Everything I did was poison in my last life. When I found out she only wanted to pick STEM, because her crush chose it, effectively tanking her own GPA, her homeroom teacher almost kicked her out of the program. I had to step in and force her to check the box. Back then, I thought, throwing away your future for a boy was the stupidest thing a girl could do. I wouldn't let my daughter make my mistakes. But now, screw it. Whether she believes me or not is irrelevant. Humanity's them stripping on a pole. It's her life. I'm done forcing her to do anything. On Friday, my ex-husband Mike called. He wanted Chloe to come over to his place for the weekend. I agreed. Even though I split with that loser, I never stopped him from seeing her. Not letting my daughter grow up in a healthy 2-parent home. It's apparently my greatest sin. Sunday night, Chloe came back carrying bags of designer crap. She was humming, clearly in a great mood. When she saw me, she instinctively hid a shopping bag behind her back then. And, remembering she hated me, she pulled it back out and shoved it in my face, gloating. "Look, the stuff you refused to buy me. Dad and Tiffany bought it. You only buy me cheap budget phones. Dad and Tiffany got me the new iPhone Pro. See, it's the latest model." She waved the shiny new phone in my face. For the perfectly good Android I'd bought her, she'd already tossed it at me like garbage. The second she unboxed the new one, I didn't get angry. I just gave her a faint, cold smile. "That's nice. Why don't you calculate how much money your dad has spent on you versus how much I've spent on you over the years? Just so you know exactly who to call?" Mom, from age 3 to 10, Mike didn't pay a dime, no child support, nothing. In middle school, he suddenly decided to play Dad of the Year. He'd visit once or twice a year, buy her a couple of outfits from the mall, and vanish. High school, he showed up a bit more, usually tossing her $200 or buying some clothes to shut her up. Me. Since she was 3, I paid for every ounce of formula, every tuition bill, every meal, every field trip alone. I raised her for years, and she never said thank you. Not once. Now for a damn phone. She was ready to. Erasing everything I'd done. Was this really the daughter I raised? Chloe froze, shocked that I brought up the receipts. Her face flushed red, and she snapped. So you spent a little money. So what? Pay you back every cent. When I grow up, don't expect me to take care of you when you're old and dying. Why did you fight for custody anyway? I never wanted to live with you. Living with you means penny pinching and misery. I'm sick of it. I want to live with Dad. Sure, I said, not looking up. Go ahead. I'm sure your dad and his family are just dying to have you move in. I almost laughed. She asked why I fought for custody. Please. Does she think I was the one snatching her? You think I'm joking? Chloe sneered, clutching the iPhone Pro like a talisman against my poverty. I'll call Dad right now. He'll come get me.
Do it, I said. I didn't yell. I didn't cry.
I simply opened the drawer to my left, pulled out a fresh file folder, and dropped it on the desk. Call him. Put it on speaker. Chloe hesitated for a fraction of a second, her thumb hovering over the screen. She was waiting for the panic. In my last life, this was the moment I would have begged. I would have promised to buy her the phone, promised to work extra shifts, promised to be better. But the woman who begged was dead. I said call him. I repeated, turning back to my laptop. Tell him to bring the truck. You have a lot of clothes. She dialed, her eyes narrowing. Hey, Daddy? Yeah. Mom is being a psycho again. Can I come live with you? Like, permanently? I listened to the tinny voice on the other end. Mike's voice. Sure, princess. You know the door is always open. But, tonight? It's kind of late, and Tiffany has a migraine. She kicked me out.
Chloe lied effortlessly.
She said get out now. A pause. Then Mike's performance voice kicked in. That witch. Fine. I'll be there in an hour. Pack your bags, baby girl. Chloe hung up and smirked at me. He's coming. Good. I stood up. I walked past her into her bedroom. What are you doing? She demanded, following me. I pulled her suitcases from the top of the closet and tossed them onto her bed. Pack. Everything. Clothes, shoes, the makeup I bought you, the laptop I paid for. Take it all. I don't want you coming back next week saying you forgot your straightener. For the next hour, the apartment was a flurry of chaotic noise. Chloe slammed drawers, muttering about how much I was going to regret this. I sat on the living room couch, sipping a glass of water, watching the clock. When the doorbell rang, I opened it to reveal Mike. He looked older than I remembered from this time period, hair thinning, gut pushing against his polo shirt. He wore the smug expression of a man who thinks he's winning a game he doesn't understand. Sarah, he started, puffing his chest out. I can't believe you'd kick your own daughter out. You're unstable. I didn't kick her out. She wants to live with you. I'm respecting her choice. I handed him a heavy envelope. What's this? Her birth certificate, social security card, health insurance info, and school transfer forms. I signed the custody release 10 minutes ago. It's notarized. I have a friend in the building. Mike blinked, the envelope sagging in his hand. He looked at the 3 massive suitcases behind Chloe. Whoa, Sarah, let's not be rash. We don't need to involve the courts just yet. Maybe she just stays for a week. No. I cut him off, leaning against the doorframe. She says living with me is misery. She says you're the better parent. I believe her.
She's all yours, Mike.
Full time. Monday through Sunday. School runs, doctor appointments, food, clothing. I'll send the child support check mandated by the state, but not a penny more. I looked at Chloe. She was standing by the elevator, looking back at me, waiting for the crack in my armor. Bye, Chloe, I said softly.
I hate you, she spat.
I know, I said. Have a nice life. I shut the door. I locked the deadbolt. And then, for the first time in 15 years, I sat down in a silent house and didn't feel lonely. I felt free. 2 weeks later, the school guidance counselor, Mrs. Gable, called me. Mrs. Miller, we have Chloe's course selection forms here, she said, her voice dripping with concern. I noticed she's selected AP Physics, AP Calculus BC, and Advanced Chemistry. And she's dropped all her humanities electives. Okay, I said, putting my phone on speaker while I browsed travel packages to Italy. Well, frankly, Mrs. Miller, looking at her previous math scores, this is suicide. She's a brilliant writer, but her math foundation is weak. She's doing this because of, well, she mentioned a boy named Jason. In my past life, I had stormed the school. I had forced a meeting. I had humiliated Chloe by making her change her schedule, saving her GPA, but destroying our relationship. Mrs. Gable, I said pleasantly. Chloe is living with her father now. You should call him. I did, he said, and I quote, let the girl be a genius if she wants. Then there's your answer. Sign her up. But she will fail. Then she learns, I said. It's not my job to steer the ship anymore, Mrs. Gable. I'm just a passenger who got off at the last stop. I hung up and booked a 2-week solo tour of Tuscany for the upcoming winter break. The semester rolled on. Without a teenager in the house, my expenses plummeted. I wasn't buying expensive organic snacks, paying for trendy clothes, or funding the endless stream of emergency school fees. I had time to work late without guilt. My boss noticed. By mid-October, I was promoted to Senior Director of Operations. Meanwhile, through the grapevine of the mom group chat, which I stayed in just for entertainment, I heard the rumblings. Chloe Miller looked exhausted today. I heard she got a 42 on the first calc test. She's chasing Jason, ignoring the fact that Jason is dating that girl from the debate team. One rainy Tuesday in November, my phone buzzed. It was Chloe. Mom, I need a tutor. Physics is impossible. I stared at the text. In the old days, I would have hired the best tutor in the city within the hour. I typed back. Ask your father. He's the custodial parent. He said he doesn't have the money right now. Tiffany needs new tires for the SUV. Please, Mom. It's $80 an hour. I took a photo of my dinner, a beautifully plated salmon with risotto and a glass of expensive white wine, and sent it to her. I'm on a budget too, honey. My budget is me. Good luck. I blocked her number for the night, so I could finish my wine in peace. The reality of living with Mike and Tiffany was never going to be the paradise Chloe imagined. Mike loved being a dad when it meant buying ice cream once a month. He did not love being a dad when it meant dealing with a sobbing teenager at 11 p.m. who didn't understand vectors. I ran into Tiffany at the grocery store in December. She looked ragged. She had a toddler in the cart and looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Sarah, she said, cornering me by the dairy section. We need to talk. Do we? I reached for a carton of almond milk. Chloe is out of control. She's rude. She doesn't clean her room. She leaves her lights on all night studying and crying. And she expects me to drive her to school every morning. I have a baby, Sarah. Welcome to parenthood. I smiled. It's a blessing, isn't it? Mike is stressed. He says you're holding out on money. I pay exactly what the court ordered based on Mike's declared income, I said coldly. If Mike wants more money, maybe he should declare the cash jobs he does under the table. Or maybe he shouldn't have bought that jet ski. She wants to come home, Tiffany whispered, her voice cracking. She hates us. She has a home, I said, stepping around her cart.
She fought very hard to be there.
I suggest you all figure it out. I knew what was happening. The STEM classes were crushing her. Jason, the boy she did it all for, hadn't even looked at her. He and his debate team girlfriend were likely laughing at the girl who failed physics trying to impress him.
And Mike?
Mike was realizing that a teenage girl isn't a prop. She's a person with needs, emotions, and expenses. They were all miserable. And for the first time in 2 lifetimes, I wasn't. The call came in February.
It wasn't a suicide note this time.
It was the vice principal. Mrs. Miller, we have a situation. Chloe was caught skipping school. She's been skipping her afternoon classes for 3 weeks. We found her at the park. She was drinking. My heart gave a familiar squeeze, the old reflex of maternal panic. But I breathed through it. Is she safe? She's in my office. She's suspended. Someone needs to pick her up. Call her father. We did. He's not answering. Mrs. Miller, she's asking for you. I closed my eyes. I remembered the balcony. I remembered the wind whipping her hair as she stepped off. I remembered the internet comments blaming me for being too controlling, too pushy. Let go, I told myself. If you save her now, you teach her nothing. I'm in a meeting, I lied. Keep trying her father. If he doesn't show up by 5 p.m., call Child Protective Services. Mrs. Miller, those are your options. I am not the custodial parent. I hung up. Then I went to the bathroom and threw up. It was hard. God, it was hard. But I knew that if I swooped in now, I would just reset the cycle. She needed to see that Mike wouldn't come. She needed to see that her actions had consequences that mommy couldn't fix with a checkbook and an apology. At 6 p.m., my doorbell rang. It wasn't Mike. It was Chloe. She looked like a wreck. Her hair was matted, her mascara smeared down her cheeks. She was shivering, soaking wet from the rain. She had walked. It was 5 miles from the school to my apartment. She stood there, trembling, waiting for me to pull her into a hug, to make cocoa, to tell her it was all going to be okay. I stood in the doorway, blocking the warmth of the apartment. Where's your dad? I asked. He didn't answer, she sobbed. He changed his voicemail. Tiffany told me not to come back until I wasn't a little brat anymore. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. Mom, please. I failed physics. I failed calc. Jason called me stupid in front of everyone. Dad won't buy me lunch money.
I'm hungry.
I just want to come home. Why? I asked. Because you're my mom, she screamed. You're supposed to take care of me. I did, I said, my voice shaking with the effort to stay calm. I took care of you for 15 years. I worked 2 jobs. I cooked. I cleaned. I helped you with the essays you were actually good at. And you looked me in the face and told me I was the source of your misery. You told the world I was a monster. I didn't mean it.
You meant it then.
You just don't mean it now because the alternative is hard. I looked at her, really looked at her. I love you, Chloe, but I don't like you right now. And I'm not going to let you treat my home like a hotel you check into when the other one loses its amenities. So you're leaving me on the street? She gasped, the manipulation tactics flaring up again.
No.
I'll drive you to your father's house. I will speak to him, but you are not moving back in here. What? You made a choice.
You chose that life.
You have to finish the semester. You have to fix your grades yourself. You have to live with the people you idolized. I grabbed my keys. Get in the car. The drive was silent. When we pulled up to Mike's house, a rental that looked nice on the outside but was falling apart on the inside, I got out. I pounded on the door until Mike answered. He smelled like beer. She's your responsibility, I said, shoving him back as I guided Chloe inside. If she skips school again, if she's found drinking again and you don't answer the phone, I will sue you for child endangerment. And I won't sue for custody. I'll sue for damages. I will garnish your wages until you can't afford a pack of gum. Mike paled. Sarah, come on. She stays here. She finishes the year. You want it to be the fun, Dad? Have fun. I turned to Chloe. She was sitting on the stairs looking small. Mom, she whispered.
Get your grades up, I said.
Switch out of STEM if it's killing you. Stop chasing boys who don't like you. Figure out who you are, Chloe. Because the version of you that exists right now, she has no future. I walked out. The next 3 months were the longest of my life. I didn't see her. I monitored her grades online. I saw the F in physics turn into AD, then AC. She dropped the advanced math and picked up an AP history class mid-semester, begging the administration to let her switch. I saw her social media. The posts about living my best life stopped. The photos of designer bags stopped. Instead, there were silence. In May, on her birthday, I sent a card. No cash. Just a card. Happy birthday. Love, Mom. She called me that night. Mom, happy birthday, Chloe. Dad forgot, she said quietly. Tiffany made a cake, but it was coconut. I'm allergic to coconut. I know. I got an A on my history essay today. Mr. Henderson said it was college level. That's great, Chloe. You were always good at writing. Can we get coffee? Just coffee. I hesitated. The old Sarah would have rushed over with balloons. The new Sarah checked her calendar. I can do Sunday morning.
10 Uhr morgens.
Okay, Sunday. We met at a cafe halfway between our houses. Chloe looked different. She wasn't wearing the designer clothes Mike used to buy. She was wearing a simple hoodie and jeans. She looked tired, but her eyes were clear. I'm sorry, she said. She didn't look at her phone. She looked at me. I was awful. I know that now. Dad is a child. He borrowed the money I saved from babysitting to pay his car insurance. He never paid me back. I took a sip of my latte. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Can I come home? She asked.
Please.
I'll follow your rules. I'll do humanities. I'll do whatever you want. I set my cup down.
No.
She flinched.
No.
You can come home, I said slowly. But not to do what I want. That was the problem before. I tried to design your life so you wouldn't get hurt.
And you hated me for it.
If you come home, you pick your path. If you fail, you fail. If you want to study art history, fine. If you want to become a mechanic,
fine.
But you do your own laundry.
You cook dinner 2 nights a week.
And you treat me with respect. Not because I control the money, but because I am a human being. Tears spilled over her lashes. Okay, I promise. And Chloe? No iPhone Pro. You get the Android back. She let out a wet, shaky laugh. I don't care about the phone anymore. I just want a quiet place to study. 3 years later, I stood on the balcony of the 19th floor. The city lights shimmered below, a grid of gold and white. It was the same view, but the air felt different. Lighter. Chloe walked out behind me. She was 19 now, a sophomore in college. She was attending the state university nearby, not the top-tier, Ivy League pressure cooker I had forced her into in the other timeline, but a good school with a great English program. She handed me a glass of wine. Did you read the draft? She asked nervously. I did, I said. She had written a short story for her creative writing seminar. It was about a girl who fell off a cliff, not because she slipped, but because she was trying to fly before she had wings. And about the mother who had to let her fall so she could learn to climb back up. It's good, Chloe. Really good. She leaned against the railing, looking down. The same railing she had thrown herself over in my nightmares. She gripped it firmly, grounded, safe. I'm glad you didn't help me that day, she said suddenly. When I showed up in the rain. I hated you for it for a long time. But if you had taken me back then, I think I would have stayed the same. It was the hardest thing I ever did, I admitted. I know, she bumped her shoulder against mine. Thanks for, resetting. She didn't know about the time travel. She didn't know about the suicide note, the doxing, the death of my previous self. She just knew that her mother had changed, that I had stopped being a manager and started being a person. Go inside, I told her. It's getting cold, and you have that exam in the morning. Night, Mom. She kissed my cheek and went back in. I stayed out there for a moment longer. I looked at the dark sky. I thought of the Sarah who died of a broken heart, the Sarah who was cancelled by the world. We made it, I whispered to her ghost. We didn't make the same mistake twice. I finished my wine, turned my back on the ledge, and walked inside, closing the sliding glass door firmly behind me.